All right, where to, gentlemen? Educational possibilities in Second Life.
Well, my first place, is, of course, is NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is doing some educational stuff in Second Life.
Well, if you could, teleport on over and offer us teleport, and we'll check that out.
Can you offer a group, just for those people who are listening who this is their first time, to offer a teleport is simply to invite people to come where you are. So you send out this friend a teleport, you just click on the button and it shows up to them and then they can come and find out where you are. The other way to make that happen is to click find and then type in your friend's name, and that will allow you to go and track them down. Either way, it's pretty easy to find the people you already know. You're standing on each other's heads. That's very cool. Where is my camera?
Just out of just out of curiosity, do you guys hear the Second Life sound effects that I'm doing, or is that's not piped in, right?
Not through your Skype. We might be picking up as background audio, but especially on my computer.
Because I'm trying to do this with headset and mic, so you shouldn't be hearing that.
No worries.
But there was a comment earlier about keyboard noises, and Second Life generates automatically a keyboard noise anytime you chat. And of course, there's also the real-life sound of keyboards.
Yeah, this will be you'll hear some keyboard tapping on this show. It's hard to avoid entirely in Second Life. So, where are we, Calamari?
Well, I stumbled across this while doing a find for education in Second Life, and the NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has set up this little plot of land, and if you guys all enable movie control, you'll be able to see some different areas. And I think this is just a demonstration project. I've been talking to the guy who is in charge of this. He goes by the avatar name of Haxhaven Harford in Second Life, and his real name is Eric, I believe. And up on the screen you can see a rotating slideshow, but it says the future of NOAA, reaching the younger generation in the 21st century. And let's see, let's go for loop. But basically what they're doing is piping in some different things that they do in real life. They have something called Science on a Sphere, so they've recreated that here in Second Life. It's an orb of the Earth, and they have animations right now, but I'm hoping that in the future it might be possible to project real-time data onto this globe. And they have something for the Martian surface, which you can see projected onto the globe if you have your movie control on. They also have sea surface temperatures, an animation of the 2004 tsunami as it propagated across the Indian Ocean and into the other ocean basins, and sea surface speed, CO2 levels, and water temperature are all coming into this. If you look at the slideshow too, they seem to have more plans if there's funding available, and that includes a island, which I guess is area dedicated. I don't know how much area that actually is, but it's, I think, synonymous with an actual server, and you can check that out.
And just to step back for a moment and think about, all right, so how does this actually affect education? And I'm thinking back to how I learned about this kind of stuff, and I picture my 8th grade textbook with pictures of a globe and weather-related stuff. And certainly kids today have a more multimedia possibility. They might be using a CD or something. But it's, again, value added when you can kind of walk up to a sphere and pursue your own path. Ah, well, I want to learn more about the water temperatures or whatever. It's very hands-on experiential learning.
Right. And one of the graphics that they put up in their thing is the fact that when we say and do something, we retain more of what we experience than if we simply read it or see it. So having students be able to come in here and actually manipulate the environment and use the data in this kind of way will hopefully lead to more retention and more understanding of the concepts.
Yeah. And one of the things that has amazed me about my own behavior is you have the option of taking a snapshot, which records what you're seeing at any given time and you can upload it as a texture to your online inventory, or you can save it as a picture to your hard drive. And I have probably 100 snapshots already because I want to remember experiences. Ah, this is when I first met calamari, or this is when I took a balloon ride over this island. And there is that feeling of being a tourist or having a real experience as opposed to just observing something.
Yeah, and speaking of balloon rides, I finally found the slide where they talk about their future plans, and if it all works out, they're talking about having a Second Life scale model of NOAA fleet vessels where you can actually walk through it and learn about the research vessels there. You can
Whoa.
have a visit to the South Pole and have a simulation of the Antarctic. Ride a weather balloon and learn about ozone. So there is a gaming component in here. So they'll have something where you can learn about gas prices, fuel efficiency by racing cars around this area. Learn about space weather and solar radiation, glacial research, global warming and skiing, severe weather and surfing, and of course the NOAA Second Life offices, lecture hall, and science on a sphere. And I don't have it here, but I actually know that they were projecting the recent eclipse into Second Life in one of those amphitheaters, and that's one of the examples that they put up of science in Second Life that already exists.
I'd like to jump in here and ask the political question. And that's how political is this going to get? I mean, educationally, that's always one of the issues that comes up. You know, we talk about global warming as an issue we had a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, when I said, yeah, global warming would be a great topic because everybody understands that it's happening. And somebody said, well, no, actually, there's a very large portion of the population that doesn't believe in it. Is this one of the things that will this facilitate that conversation because both truths could exist inside of this environment? Or is it just going to make that conversation more difficult? I think that the curriculum that gets approved to go inside the classroom ends up being fairly controlled and the balance is built in, right? Whereas in this case, whenever you have the national, whoever these guys are, national organization, what's
Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
right, are going to have their own political agenda, which is obviously built into their own environment. I mean, the study of that alone and how people build their politics in their own environment is something that could take a lifetime. But how's that going to affect education?
I think those issues are going to play out. I mean, they're already playing out in boardrooms and PTA meetings everywhere. I think they're going to play out here, and I think it's an interesting point. I mean, I also think that politics itself is going to play out very interestingly here. I can't imagine major candidates, at least in the U.S., not having a presence here. You know, their supporters are going to make a Hillary Clinton for president center or island in Second Life, and boy, is that going to test community standards. The educational
No
political
kidding.
issues are bound to play out here as well.
I agree, and hadn't thought about that, but it's certainly a possibility. You probably see the same evolution that you saw with blogging in the classroom
Sure.
and wikis and everything else that you guys have talked about. This is just one more complicated layer on top of that. And of course, that I just noticed recently that there's a bill being introduced in the House to ban students' access to web space or to MySpace and
MySpace.
any kind of place like that in library and school computers.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah.